first I'll show a few things here on the picture, but then we get to the number one reason, at least for me. So first are obvious things. So everything's been fine and now it's not. Usually it seems that the low end is too lean somehow. It doesn't settle to idle. The tune is all over the place. You can't figure out why. This rubber boot is prone to breaking. So check that it's not cut into two like this and painted red. That would be really bad. Your engine wouldn't run if your boot looked like this, right? Normally it's a small hole somewhere. You can see it's been collecting dirt. So check the carb boot. Another common problem is a gasket leak. Now some pipes don't have gaskets anymore, but the ones that do, they can have a gasket leak. Sometimes you don't even see it on the pipe one, but when you remove the engine, you can see that it's been leaking. So this was a sneaky gasket leak where I didn't see anything until I removed the engine, and then I saw on the side guard that it had actually been leaking. For me, the number one reason for engines not running right has been bearings. But bearings are tricky because you don't always see anything. Like here, the front bearing, you can see that it's kind of been leaking because you see dust collecting here around the front of the engine. And actually you can also see some dust collecting on the pipe. So it's been throwing oil onto the pipe also. The front bearing has been leaking. But the thing is that just because the front bearing leaks, it doesn't mean that it's bad, which makes things hard to spot. Sometimes an engine is perfectly fine and you see that there's a bit of leakage. It doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything. But then other times you don't see anything and your engine doesn't run right. And I have a video here, some audio we can listen to show you what a bad front bearing sounds like. This was actually a brand new engine. So this was in at some point after break-in when I was just trying to tune it, and I couldn't get the idle right. If you know your idle gap, you know the engine is in good condition, it should just idle steadily when you tune it correctly. But listen to what happens here with this engine. So did you all hear that?
Yeah.
So there's like no explanation for it. It settles at one point after revving, but then it goes up again, stays up a bit, and then comes down again. And I have found that every time it's the front bearing. So, and it can even be new. So, like I said, this engine was just, I broke it in and that's it. And I could never get the idle right. Changed the front bearing, boom. Idled for 30 seconds, no change. So, when you have a situation like this, if you don't know your idle gap, what you will do is assume that it's not tuned right. You'll keep tuning, retuning, and you can never get it right and you get frustrated. If you know your idle gap, you know it's 0.5, you only need to adjust your low speed needle. It's not idling right. Close it, open. It's not working. So you know something's wrong. And then if there's nothing wrong visually with the back plate of the engine's not leaking, no gasket problems on the pipe, carb boot is fine, you can't visually see anything wrong with the engine, then it's the front bearing. It's as simple as that. So I don't know if a fuel tank can cause this. I don't think so. I don't think it would cause this problem on idling. A bad fuel tank. A bad fuel tank can cause flame outs, but I don't think it would cause this on idling. So. Yeah, so an idle that just keeps wandering for no apparent reason. Another thing that can happen at some point is that your rear bearing starts to go. I have another video where we can listen to that. Okay, so this is now bad rear bearing. And what you can hear is there's like this metallic sound, or like a, I don't know how to describe it, like a metallic grinding sound. Sand, like, yeah, like there's sand in your engine. That's what it sounds like. You can hear that engine running, and then you can hear a second sound that shouldn't be there. So let's just listen to that. Do you hear that? There's the normal idle, then there's that sound that shouldn't be there. That's the rear bearing. It almost sounds like the drivetrain is turning, but it's not. So when you hear that, you know that your rear bearing is toast and you need to change it. And if you don't change your rear bearing, what will happen is that engine will keep getting louder and louder, and you'll lose power. And especially if you're running a ceramic rear bearing, parts of the bearing will start breaking off and going through the engine, scoring the piston. So if you have ever taken an engine apart and you see like these vertical lines on the piston from something, it's probably not dirt that's gone in your engine. It's probably just pieces of your rear bearing. So when you start hearing that, I recommend you just change your bearings.